Shabbat Shalom. As we will discuss in much more detail tomorrow, there are many curses found throughout this Torah portion. And we'll talk about that and hear Jaden's reflections as well. But there is one line that is rather perplexing out of all of the confusing curses that are here. And God says that eventually we will wander like a blind man at night. What difference is there for a blind man wandering at night compared to a blind man wandering in the day? If you can't see, it might as well always be night, it might as well always be day. How is this exacerbation? How is this something that is more difficult for us? Why is God using this particular idiom? Well, in Megillat, Masechet Megillah, in the Talmud, one of the rabbis says that he was, too, always perplexed by this particular verse. And yes, rabbis get confused all the time. Until one time he was actually out at night, and he saw a man walking along with a torch who was blind. And he asked the man, "Why are you carrying a torch if you're blind? What good does it do for you?" Any hypotheses now that we know that it is possible for someone to be in such a situation? It lets people who can see you, right? It is the safety vest. It is the blinking light on the bicycle at night. I mean, honestly, do those blinking lights on a bike actually make it easier for the cyclist? Not so much. Do they make it easier for other people to see the cyclist? Absolutely. And in this case, the blind man responded, "You see, I carry the torch because that way at night other people will see me and they will help me. Because I may still miss a pit or something that is a stumbling block in front of me, but if I am walking with a torch, someone else will see me, they will come over, they will notice me in the darkness, and then I will get assistance as needed for whatever might be in my path." Not a bad explanation. But the commentaries dig deeper. The commentaries say that there is another reason why we might expect somebody who is blind to be carrying a torch at night. And that is to help someone else. The torch does them no good. But if they are out at night and they are in a place where they're likely to fall into a pit or trip over something, the chances are they're not walking down Main Street. Chances are they're not strolling through the boulevard where there are many people and many lights about. Chances are they're in the middle of the wilderness, which in the old days was, just a few hundred yards out the back door. And if they are out in the wilderness and they are carrying a torch so others can see them, then that means someone else is out in that wilderness as well. And that other person out in the wilderness might not have a torch. They might be in the dark. In fact, they might be just as helpless as a blind person there in the wilderness because they are not used to walking through the dark without any additional light to guide them. And they will see the blind person carrying a torch. They will rush over thinking that this is their salvation, and they will find that the person that they are rushing towards can't see at all, but they have a torch that can be shared between them. That the torch that the blind person is carrying can now give can give light for the sighted person, and the sighted person and the blind together can leave the wilderness. Something that on their own, neither one would be able to accomplish. When God curses us to wander like a blind man at night, the rabbis believe that this is what they mean. And yes, this is a curse because we will be in dire circumstances, we will be wandering in the wilderness. But like so many of the other passages that we will read, it also has within it a hint, a seed of what can be used to resolve it. That if we recognize that when we are in difficult circumstances, we need to hold up a warning flare. We need to hold up a flashlight. We need to say, help, for those that are able to help. And we need to recognize that even if we cannot completely rescue ourselves, someone else may be able to use a tool or skill that I have to complete the rescue for both of us. We often think that we are in it alone. We often think that the problems we have should be kept as just our private problems. Nobody else wants to hear me complain. Nobody else would offer to help anyway. Everyone else has their own problems. I'll just keep my mouth shut and deal with my own. That is not what the chapter tomorrow is trying to tell us, and it is certainly not what our tradition over the last 2,000 years since is trying to tell us. It's saying each of us at different times are blind. Each of us stumble in the dark. Each of us need to ask for help and to show others, to hold up a light to say we need help. But each of us also need to recognize that no matter how lost we might feel, no matter how helpless we might feel, no matter how in danger we might feel, we can still be the lifeline for someone else. We can still add to what is needed between us. No one is so completely lost that they cannot help another, and no one is so self-reliant that they do not need the help of another. As we draw close to this new year, these days of reflection, think upon yourself of the ways that you are blind. If it is curable, fixable, fine, by all means. But recognize none of us are perfect unto ourselves. Recognize the limitations you may have. Find someone for whom you can hold a torch, and between the two of you, you can walk together. It is a much safer and a much more beautiful way to leave the wilderness. And it is the only way to truly find barakah, to find blessing. Shabbat Shalom.